The pebbles Hansel had dropped on the ground were sparkling in the dark, and the kids were able to follow them all the way back to their house.
Over the last few days, we've been helping Hansel and Gretel mark the walking paths near their little house in the woods. Well, now the trails are so well marked that many people who live in the village nearby are starting to use them. So the two children decided to clean up the trails a little bit. They decided it'd be nice to put some fences and some benches and plant some pretty flowers. They decided that each fence should be 10 steps long or 10 cubes long. Each bench should be 5 steps long or 5 cubes long. And each flower pot will only be 1 step long or 1 cube long. It's math. It's math. M-A-T-H. Woo. It's math. Good day to all first graders. Today's math lesson will be very fun. But first, listen to the materials that you will need in order to complete the lesson. For today's lesson, you will need 3 different colored tent sticks, 3 different colored tent sticks, 3 different colored crayons, a copy of Teacher Master 2, or a blank sheet of paper to copy your work onto. Oh my goodness, you also need your brain. If you do not have a copy of Teacher Masters 2 for Unit 7, Module 3, Session 1, 12 Steps on the Path, you can take a blank piece of paper and copy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different sets of 12 cubes. On your blank paper, you can draw 6 different sets of 12 cubes, just like it looks like on this paper. At the end, you will be coloring different combinations. Today, you will be helping Hansel and Gretel make the path around the house in the woods even better. Take a look at the page on the screen. Hansel and Gretel decided to make the walking paths around their house in the woods even more pleasant by adding fences, benches, and flower pots. Take 1 second, pause the video, and examine the page. What do you notice about the benches? What do you notice about the fences? What do you notice about the flower pot? Please pause the video and make an observation. If you noticed that the fence is 10 steps long, you were correct. If you noticed that the bench was 5 steps long, you were correct. If you noticed that the flower pot is only 1 step long, you were also correct. These are important numbers to hold in your brain. Now let's look at the bottom of the page and make an observation. What do you notice about this part of the page? How many flower pots do you see? How many steps long is each flower pot? You may pause the video to think and answer. How many benches do you see? How many steps long is each bench? You may pause the video to think and answer. How many fences do you see? How many steps long is the fence section. You may pause the video to think and answer. How long is the section of the entire trail? How do you know? See if you can find two ways to explain your answer. You may pause the video to think, count, and say your answer. Here comes the fun part. We will use our 3 sets of Unifix cubes in different colors to represent the fence, the bench, and the flower pot. All right, friends. So here's the fun part. I get to use my cubes to represent the fences, the benches, and the flower pot. We know that the fences are 10 steps long. So I'm going to use my orange cubes for the fences. Let's double check our fence. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps long. Now, for the bench, I will use red. We know that the bench is 5 steps long or 5 cubes long. 1 step.
2 steps. 3 steps. 4 steps. And 5 steps.
So right now we have 1 fence, 10 steps long, and 1 bench, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps long. Now we need our flower pot. For our flower pot, I will use my black cubes. 1 step for the flower pot. Please pause the video, use your cubes. Now, take out your cubes and see if you can make a fence with 1 color, a bench with another color, and a flower pot with another color. You may pause the video. Now, my friends, I will make different combinations using my different sets of cubes. Here's my first combination. As you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. That is 1 bench. And 10. As you can see right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is 1 bench. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is another bench. So here we have a combination of 2 benches. How many steps long are the 2 benches? You may pause the video and count. Let's count together. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps, 6 steps, 7 steps, 8 steps, 9 steps, 10 steps. 2 benches equal 10 steps. Let's make another combination. Let's check if we have enough for one fence. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps, 6 steps, 7 steps, 8 steps, 9 steps. Uh-oh, we need one more. 10 steps. So we have one bench. Let's add, 3 flower pots. We know that the flower pots are the black cubes.
1 flower pot. 2 flower pots. And 3 flower pots.
How long is one bench and 3 flower pots? How many steps would we need to take? Let's check. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps, 6 steps, 7 steps, 8 steps, 9 steps, 10 steps, 11 steps, 12 steps, 13 steps. Now we can count this a faster way. We know that one fence is worth 10 steps. So let's conserve the 10 and count on. 10, 11 steps, 12 steps, 13 steps. Wow. You may pause the video to double check. I have a challenge. Bring it on. Now, I want you to take your fence, which should be 10 cubes long, and connect it to a bench, which is 5 cubes long, and count how many steps there are all together. You may pause the video, use your own cubes, and solve this challenge. If you were able to use one fence worth 10 steps and one bench worth 5 steps, combine them together and get 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps, 6 steps, 7 steps, 8 steps, 9 steps, 10 steps, 11 steps, 12 steps, 13 steps, 14 steps, and 15 steps, you were correct. What would happen if I added 1 flower pot at the end? Let's see. We know a flower pot is only 1 step and 1 cube. Aha. 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps, 5 steps, 6 steps, 7 steps, 8 steps, 9 steps, 10 steps, 11 steps, 12 steps, 13 steps, 14 steps, 15 steps, and 16 steps. That's 1 fence, 1 bench, and 1 flower pot. You may pause the video and double check by counting all the steps. Now that you've double checked all of the steps, it's time for us to practice representing our cubes. Now it's your turn. You will make different combinations on your 12 steps on the path worksheet. As you can see, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different combinations of 12 to make. I'm going to show you one combination I made. In this combination, I have 1 fence in the orange. You can see that I have colored in the 10 steps. After the 1 fence and 10 steps, I added 2 flower pots. As you can see in the black, 1 step equals 1 flower pot. I added 2. 10 steps plus 2 steps equals the complete 12 steps. Now watch as I make another combination. Now as you can see, on my second combination, I used one bench in the red worth 5 steps, one flower pot in the black worth 1 step, another flower pot worth another 1 step, and then I used a bench to finish in the red with 5 steps. My bench is in red cubes. My flower pots are in black cubes. Altogether, they make 12 steps. You will use the rest of the time for this lesson to make different combinations of 12 steps. Remember, your fence section should be 10 cubes long and it should be in one color. Your bench section should be 5 cubes long and it should be in another color. And your flower pot should be 1 cube long and in a different color. If you do not have cubes, you may use 3 different colored crayons to color in your different combinations of 12. If you do not have the sheet from Teacher's Masters, you may draw your combinations on a blank sheet of paper and color them in. Please make sure that all paths are 12 steps or 12 cubes long. Submit your 6 different combinations to Class Dojo by uploading it onto your student portfolio. Great job today. See you next week.